Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 14 Reunion Part 2. Child, I was so bored, but we're going to get into it as we get into it. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share with a friend. Hit that notification bell so that you will be updated each and every time I upload a video. Now, child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. When the episode first opens up, Marlo is still speaking her speech. So Kenya was like, the thing that I find hard is that she says one thing, but her actions don't match. In one breath, she's talking about us, talking about her having men sexually, but then turns around and says Candy's kitty wasn't good and that's why she can't keep a man. She's a hypocrite. Okay, I'm glad Kenya didn't buy what Marlo was selling, honey, because Marlo is always giving a speech, honey. For Kenya to be the pageant girl, Marlo gonna give a pageant answer if she don't do nothing else, honey. It's always, woe is me, we need a tiny violin. I am all for being empathetic. Y'all know how I do on this channel, honey. I'm going to see the good in whatever's going on. But truth be told, Marlo always does this. So it's like it doesn't land because I know 5 minutes from now, you're going to be going in. So Sonia pipes up and she's like, I just want to balance the conversation a little bit. Marlo has been a great friend to me. Sonia, shut it up. Okay? You don't have anything to do with this and you are not balancing the conversation. To balance the conversation, you would insert yourself and say, you know what? I've seen how Marlo has treated Kenya, and I've told her that those things aren't cool. Now, she hasn't shown me that, but I'm hoping that in the future, the two of you can work things out and stay, on a steady field. Not you coming in talking about, Marlo is good to me. She's friends with me. Honey, just give her a minute. Okay, she always start off good and you don't know what you're talking about. So just sit quiet, okay? She's a hypocrite and she's also a liar. Moving forward. So when Kenya said that, she's like, I said that about Candy? Marlo, quit playing dumb. Quit playing dumb. So Drew tried to say, well, I want to like you, Marlo. But honey, Marlo didn't want to let that come out, honey. She was like, well, no, you called me crying about Ralph. Remember you said Ralph was being mean to me? Remember you called me crying about Ralph? I was like, look at Marlo. Baby, Marlo is not going to let this woman say she wanted to. Baby, they crazy. So Andy brings up Marlo'S Break-In, and Marlo says she just heard a scream from her nephews, and baby, she just started screaming obscenities from the upstairs and told them, I'm upstairs, so if you want it, come and get it. Okay, and then they turned around and walked away. Well, ran away. So then they show the tweet that Kenya made about Marlo withholding information that could keep them all safe. And when the tweet first came out, I was confused, okay, and I still am. Now, I know it's Marlo, y'all. I know it's Marlo. But how could she keep y'all safe if she could keep her own self safe? Like, I'm not understanding it. I felt when I saw that, it was insensitive. I felt Kenya was being insensitive in that moment. Marlo said the police didn't want to let them speak. There were other people who were also involved in these break-ins that said that the police would not let them speak. And so Andy asked her about it, right? And so Kenya gives her pageant answer. But she said Candy had a scare, Marlo had a scare, Drew had a scare, and she just wanted to jump on a conference call to see how they all can keep each other safe. But Kenya, unless y'all live in the same neighborhood or the same house and y'all are a part of the neighborhood watch, there's no way to do that. We all know that you got that heat. Okay, we know you keep that heater. We saw it when those trespassers showed up at your house that one season. But I think it's unfair to put all of that on Marlo. Like, you didn't want to keep us safe. I think that's unfair. So Andy was asking them if they felt like she withheld things, and they were basically like, nah, we good. So then he talks about her sending the boys away. Andy was like, I respect you, trying to save them from you. But yeah, it wasn't looking too good. The optics weren't looking the best. She said, the way she said it, that's probably what it was. It was awful the way I said it. I said, kick them out. Like, I really need to work on my delivery. Well, definitely that. But honey, it wasn't the delivery. It was the action behind the delivery. She was like, yeah, I should have said I needed a reset. She's like, I'm just used to being the fabulous Monty, getting them pizza, this, that, and this and on. Andy was like, that doesn't work. She was like, yeah, I know it doesn't. Basically, the kids were cramping her style, and plus they wasn't listening. And so that pissed her off. And so before she turned into her mama, she sent them over to her sister's house. So Andy is telling her that. And he said, after hearing your backstory, it's even more off-putting because I know you wouldn't want them to feel unwanted the way that you did. So even Candy was like, yes, I was listening to you, Marlo, and how you were turned away. I was wondering, how could you do the same things that you went through? And it caused you to act out. So, I mean, just why put them in that position? Child, we all were wondering that. Those children are history repeating itself. And it's really sad to say, but I'm hoping Marlo doesn't leave a mark. Now, let this be your one and only time, Marlo, that you need a reset. It don't work like that. I understand you were thrown into this without a rule book, without a handbook. We all were. But it's different when you didn't birth the kid and you're thrown into that position. I understand that. I really do. But Marlo, you're going to have to work it out, honey. You're going to have to figure it out. So Marlo basically said that, she didn't take a class on it. She was thrown into it, but now they talk to each other. Okay. And she's talking. So Andy asked about her sister, and she said she hasn't heard from her. And he said, well, I thought it was great when you said they have 15 minutes to cry and then they have to move on. I don't know. I guess I'm different because I want them to feel their feelings so they don't act out because they're angry or sad inside. Like, I don't want to stifle you from crying. If you want to cry, cry. No, I don't want you to sit and wallow in self-pity, but at the same time, I'm not going to put a time limit on when your emotions should end. Because then you're thinking in your mind, okay, I only have 15 minutes to feel everything. And then, I don't know. I guess just things couldn't go right if you do that. But, everybody has their way. So as they're talking, Kenya said, Andy, can you pass me a tissue? Andy said, oh, you're moved? She said, no, my nose is cold. Kenya, shut up. Kenya ain't paying Marlo no mind, honey, as she shouldn't. So Andy said, well, thank you for opening up. Here go Kenya. It's called damage control. Marlo gonna say, it's called evil bit. See, Andy? See? This is what is going on. And I don't know why you're not addressing it. You know what? It just amazes me. And I don't know what's going on, but honey, I'm just gonna take a stab in the dark. That Marlo has been given so much grace. And, Andy is really delving into her issues. Just say y'all made a mistake giving Marlo a peach, honey. And don't try to backtrack and don't try to, do this whole thing where we sit and listen to Marlo and we're looking at it from a different perspective after the reunion. No, because it kept up in the interviews and it kept up on social media. This is who Marlo is. That's just the fact. Moving forward. Marlo talking about hurt people. Well, child, you would know. And Kenya and I are both just hurt. Our families, we didn't grow up the same. And, we grew up the same. And it's just some things. Marlo. So Kenya's like, girl, stop. Okay, stop with the fake phoniness. Just please stop. Here go Andy, old messy self, talking about, Kenya, would you like me to move on? She said, yes, I would love it. He said, okay, I'm going to do that. Andy's so shady. Andy is basically like, so now we're moving forward. Marlo always playing the victim, child. Ain't anybody got time for that. So Andy says, the ladies are shady, but every time they throw the shade, there's some receipts. So they show this whole receipt reel or whatever of all the ladies being messy or toting messages or being bone carriers, and the receipts are there. So Andy was like, is it more pressure to be honest knowing that the producers will roll the receipts? Well, honey, they've been doing that for years. Ain't stopped them from lying. Producers been rolling receipts. This is not new. So Kenya was like, yeah, but some people don't care. They just lie just to lie. Child, why that camera panned over to Marlo? I'm sick of it. Marlo, she's speaking directly to you, honey. Oh, honey. So Andy directs attention to Drew not knowing what gaslighting meant. She was like, I've never heard that in regards to Ralph. Okay, Drew, now I feel like you gaslighting us, honey, and I don't want to hear nothing else about it. So they bring up Marlo's edges. Child, this reunion ain't talking about nothing. When I say this reunion ain't talking about nothing, I had to watch this show at least 3 times. Andy is like, so how are your edges? One girl from California wants to know, or whatever he said, child. And she's like, yeah, they're growing in. I'm getting little sideburns. So Andy goes, well, Kenya, does she need Kenya more hair care? She's like, yeah, some people have a lot further to go, but my products do work. Child, not the mini commercial in between the union. Baby, they ignorant. Marlo is like, well, yeah, I got some from CVS. I think it did make them a little bit thicker. I did get some. Marlo wants Kenya's attention so bad. This part made me realize Marlo longs for acceptance. And it's nice that she supported Kenya, but it's also weird. Like, their dynamic is so weird. So Drew tries to explain Ralph playing football. Girl, we don't care, honey. We don't give a damn. And so then they asked if Charay was tired of being clowned for spring, September, summer. No, because honey, any attention is better than none. She said it was a bit much, but now it works. So Andy brings up Candy's worldwide merch. Honey, it didn't take long. If you're serious, okay? If you get it together, then you can start selling your stuff. So then we move on to Kenya, the moment more. So they show her package from the season. So Andy is asking the ladies if they noticed a change in Kenya this season. And Candy was like, yeah, coming off of Dancing with the Stars, all that good energy, it just followed her. And I feel like this was her redemption season. People who didn't care for Kenya at first were really team Kenya. But y'all also know what I think it is, me being a Real Housewives of Atlanta aficionado. I feel like when the dynamic of Porsha and Kenya was split, and they weren't fussing and arguing, and Porsha was no longer a part of the show, Kenya was able to relax because she doesn't see Marlo like she saw Porsha. And when I say that is, even though Marlo has a peach, Kenya still sees her as friend of. Baby, dust. Okay, you get dust. But as far as Porsha is concerned, she was a pivotal cast member. And so we know for years it was either Kenya and Phaedra or Kenya and Porsha. So when Porsha left, Kenya didn't have to fuss. So we got to see another side of her. And yes, what Candy is saying is true. The Dancing with the Stars and, being on cloud nine and not wanting to come back down, that plays a factor as well. But when the dynamic was split up and we didn't have all that fusserization, and a lot of people were team Porsha, okay? And that made them come out in droves, honey. And it was Team Porsha versus Team Twirl. So now that Porsha is not there, I mean, I'm hearing that she's coming back, but this season Porsha wasn't there. So it just leads me to believe that's a little bit of the reason why Kenya was a little bit laxed. But that's just my 2 cents. Moving forward. So Kenya was like, I love to dance. My grandmother had me in a community center because we couldn't afford real dance lessons. And, I wanted to dance because that's what I did when I was young. And I felt like when I was dancing on Dancing with the Stars, I was dancing for my grandmother and she would come and see me at the recitals. And it just brought back so many memories. And I thought that was so sweet because we all know that her grandmother stepped up and actually took the role of her mom. So that was very sweet of her. So he asked her if she was divorced yet. Of course, she said no, honey. She said Mark ain't asking for nothing. It's just at a standstill. Honey, divorces take forever. I don't know why. Child, I got married in 2 seconds. Please release me in more than 2 seconds. Like, what is happening? So then he asked her about her dating life. And she said she was doing some group dating. Girl, not group dating. Man, what in the high school be home by 12 is happening here? Candy said group dating. Honey, that's what I was trying to figure out. But I guess a group date is a better choice because, honey, it's some crazies out there. And so in case you got a dip, he'll get lost in the crowd and whatnot. So Andy reads a question or a comment that asked if Kenya regrets hanging up in Sonya's face because it was rude as hell. And she was like, no. But the one time I did hang up on my grandma, she came over to beat my ass. So Andy was like, well, what if Sonya came over to beat your ass? Now, Andy. Now, we all know neither one of them were fighters, but they all had a good laugh about it. Kenya laughed it off and Sonya laughed it off, and that's that on that. Moving forward. So Sonya did say after watching it back, she wanted to say that she didn't want Kenya to feel inadequate by not having a man. She was simply reiterating because when they went to New York, Kenya was confused as to why everybody had a date and she did not, even though Candy had told them that they could bring someone when they were at Kenya's daughter's birthday party. So she just wanted to make sure, but it didn't have to be a man. Baby, Kenya ain't got a man. So to keep saying couples, that implies that, girl, you need to bring a man. And that's why you scouted Dear John in Jamaica. So sometimes the math don't be mathing, honey, but I'm glad to know that you didn't want her to feel inadequate. Moving forward. So Andy was like, I don't see the big deal about missing the outfit shoot. That's what I want to say. I was like, y'all really wanted to go to that? Andy, watch it, okay? As much as I don't really care for Sonya in this setting, I don't like how you're condescendingly saying that her outfit shoot was not important. I don't like that. What's wrong with the outfit shoot? What's wrong with it? See, y'all don't be catching them little things that Andy be doing. He ain't gonna do that with them Caucasian franchises. Okay. Teresa literally did a bodybuilding event and he was like, it was so exciting to see all of you ladies there. Okay, so if it's so exciting to see all of them watch her in a little bitto bikini painted bronze, then it should be exciting for them to go to the outfit shoot. Andy, Boy. So Kenya was like, no, I really wanted to go to her event because it was important to me to show her that since I missed the previous day, that, I wanted to go to this event. Like, I didn't want her to think that I was not, in support of her. So Sonya was like, well, I didn't feel like that. I felt like y'all didn't really want to come because Marlo showed up, the bus was there, and y'all didn't come. I'm still confused as to how they missed this big old bus outside, but Marlo told them to leave. So I don't know, and I don't care at this point. Moving forward. So then Andy asked Charay about egging Sonya on to go up against Kenya. Wrong road, Charay, wrong road. So Charay was like, well, Kenya can be aggressive. So the only way to get her is to stand up to her. Like, basically, that's what you got to do. Nah, Charay, you were just being messy. Okay, that's what it was. It didn't have nothing to do with you trying to get her to stand up so that she can, bring Kenya down. You were just being messy, point blank in the period. Kenya was like, well, yeah, you gave her some bad advice. I'm sure I know what she was doing, and she ain't fooling me. So in the middle of the foolishness, Martell calls for whatever reason, okay? And I'm pretty sure it was some kind of stunt, okay? Because Martell don't do nothing but pull stunts. The lady is filming a reunion. You know how reunions work. Remember the reunions you used to sit next to your beautiful wife? You remember those? Oh, okay. And those can go all day, correct? Okay, so what are you calling for? Even him being on the phone annoyed me. When I tell you, I was just so, ugh. So Andy gets the phone. He's like, hello, Martell. Ooh, he's a 10 out of 10. Andrew, a word. Looks are not everything. Hotel is a 1 at best. Okay, because I factor in all of it, honey. Your looks, your personality, your career choices, how you get along with your mama. He's a 1, okay? If we take it all into account. And Hotel, why are you calling while they're taping the reunion? Just why? So then Kenya was like, well, I heard from a friend of a friend that D is a 10 out of 10. Ill. Okay, just ill. Now, I ain't gonna lie, honey, that narcissistic D do be fire. But it's not worth it, okay? It's not worth it if you got to lay down with a hotel. It just ain't, if you got to lay down with a hotel in a hotel, it ain't worth it. Moving forward. So Drew is like, Charay, can you confirm or deny? Here goes Charay. I can't confirm or deny. Girl, goodbye. So then we switch to Dear John in Jamaica, and Andy is like, I venture to say that y'all met up. Andy, what are you talking about? She don't know that man. Anyway, so then they touch on the whole thing with Ross, and Sonya said that Ross wasn't speaking to them. He was just speaking. And so Kenya was like, yeah, I take that because, he's a sweet guy. He barely says 2 words. Kenya, what's it going to be, honey? You had us going up on a Tuesday because we felt like Ross was being disrespectful to you. Now you're talking about he's a sweet guy and you'll take it. I ain't got time, child. Moving forward. So then Andy brings up Charay talking about Candy sucking D in the locker room. Charay is like, no, she likes sex. What's wrong? I'm sure you've done it different places. Candy said, and I'm sure you did too. Okay, I know that's right. So Andy asked Kenya what she was thinking playing that game at that party. Kenya likes to be shady. Okay, at this point, that's her literal job. Every franchise has one. Gives it over on Potomac State of villain, honey. So Kenya was like, I thought it was going to be a fun game, honey. I didn't know it was going to turn into all that. So then he asked if anyone would like to confess to writing the Candy sucks D in the locker room note. Crickets. So then Kenya going to say, well, Candy, I have to confess something. And baby Candy sat up so straight. But then she was like, no, I'm just kidding. Well, the way Candy looking, she still... Candy, even though they skipped over that, Candy in her mind was still trying to register which one of you pros said that I sucked D in the locker room, honey. Somebody lying on that stage. One of y'all wrote it, honey. It wasn't production. Now, I still think to this day it was Marlo, especially after what she said about Candy on the show. But, child, the world may never know. Moving forward. So then we move on to Sonya, and they show her package. And Andy was asking her if her first season was what she imagined. And she said, in some ways, I'm happy that I got to experience it, but no, it definitely was not what I imagined. So he was like, which one is harder, being in the Olympics or the Housewives? And she was like, the Housewives. Like, I'm navigating a new space, but for me, running just comes naturally. So he asked her timeline on the baby. And at first she said she was going to give Ross 6 months, and he was like, I know you fucking lying. And then she said, no, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and just let it be. And whatever will be, will be. So he asked her what made her say, okay, I'm ready to have a baby. And she basically said at first, Ross was not listening to her reasonings. And it made her feel like, you just want to do what you want to do. But then finally, Ross came around to the realization that, you know what? If it ain't what you want, then it ain't what I want. Because we're a team. So once she felt like he was listening to her and he would be more receptive to the way that she was feeling, she felt like, okay, I mean, I guess now's as good a time as any. So then there was a comment about Drew's antiquated answer to Sonya's baby question. So she was like, I just felt that her answer wasn't right. And so Drew felt that her answer was right. You have to try to make your husband happy. So Sonya goes, well, you doubled down on Watch What Happens Live. Sonya got mad that she doubled down. Sonya, you asked her opinion, okay? You're mad because she gave you her opinion. You want a problem with Drew. It's so obvious. You just want a problem with her, honey. Just say you wanted her to give you the answer you wanted to hear. That's what you wanted. You expected her to go up and say, listen, girl, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But her answer is different. And a lot of women do think like Drew. I'm not saying she's right, but you literally sought her out to ask her opinion. And that's what it was. Girl gone. Now on to Marlo and Kenya. So they showed the 5 minutes they were cool, honey, and it was literally for a scene. And then they fell the hell apart. So Andy was like, where did the issue start? Like, I know for Kenya, it was the mom moment, but where did it start for you, Marlo? When she didn't get invited to that housewarming? One thing about Marlo and 2 things for sure. If she's uninvited, disinvited, not invited, can't come, won't come, didn't get an invite, she is pissed. Now, I know y'all ain't gonna never forget Africa, when Charay did not invite Marlo to that dinner. I know y'all remember that. It is something about Marlo not being on the list that pisses her off. That's when she started going in on Kenya. And it had a little bit something to do with Nene, honey, because either you friends with me or you friends with her. And she picked Nene in her Donald Trump wig. And y'all remember. So Marlo was like, well, she's always being dismissive. And I feel like she uses me when she likes me and then she dismisses me. Marlo, cut the crap. Okay? Cut the crap. She's like, I get it. She's never forgiven me. That's fine. She only forgave me that one time when she wanted me not to be Portia's friend. Well, baby, what'd she say that for? Kenya was like, girl, you was a lie. You didn't even want to talk to Portia. So then they asked if Marlo thought Kenya would ever be friends with her after how she disrespected her. She's like, no, I think it's over. I'm going to be so stressed. I'm going to cry. I'm going to be sad. The crazy thing is, though, you will be. Okay? Because you actually want to be Kenya's friend. That's the crazy thing. You sitting up here putting on the show, but we know you want to be friends. So then Kenya calls her a sociopath, and baby, it's on. So they start going back and forth and back. And Kenya was like, everything about you is fake. Your name isn't even your real name, LaToya Hutchinson. Well, baby, the girls were clutching their pearls. Marlo was like, you saw my arrest record, Andy, from 20 years ago. This girl is crazy. My best friend's name is LaToya Green. Girl, please, honey. I want to see what the real deal is. And y'all know I hopped on the Googler, okay? But I couldn't find nothing. Moving forward. But it may be an alias that she used, allegedly. So Kenya's like, show us your birth certificate. So they show the birth certificate and it says Marlo Patrice Hampton. And where and who did Kenya get this information from? Child, this is a mess. So these two are going at it. But the funny thing to me during this whole thing was Drew and Sonya's facial expression. The way they were looking in such disbelief. Like, oh my gosh, honey. Not you did some research like Pt.2, honey. So Kenya said, she listened to what Marlo said, but Marlo just comes across disingenuous. Marlo and Kenya, truth be told, can be mirror images at times. Just different levels of nasty. Okay, they can each go there. But you just gotta watch them. So Andy wants to move on. And Marlo said, well, Andy, can I say one thing? He said, yeah, sure. She looks at Kenya and goes, you're a lying bitch. Oh my God. Marlo, ma'am, that is not a little thing. She's like, you better stop lying about my name. You're a liar. You're a liar. And you better apologize after I post tonight. Marlo, calm down, honey. Calm down. Because I don't know if it's true or not, honey, but you're getting hyped like it's true. So Marlo was like, I got in one fight in a club with a girl that I knew and I spent 6 months in jail. And then I kept going back for parole violations because I wanted to be in the club instead of be in the house because I was on house arrest. And then another one was for a check that I wrote for under $100 to the University of Florida where I happened to have my degree. And the addresses didn't match, so I went to jail. Girl, that don't make no sense. You went to jail because you're... Okay. So then we move on, child, because Marlo and Kenya have worn us out. We move on to Drew versus Charay. So they asked if Anthony was Sheray's assistant. And why does she have the name in the phone that way if he ain't her assistant? So Charay was like, I label people in my phone. Well, girl, what do you have Martell under? Deadbeat, cheated on his wife, got a baby outside with coleslaw? Is that what his name is saved as? Honey, because it should be. So then she's like, your name is saved as this, and I have contractors, and I have this, and I have that. That's how I remember people. So Drew was like, well, I feel like when I was talking to Candy about it, it wasn't with ill intent. I was just asking for advice on if I should bring you back the information and how I should. So they bring up the whole Anthony thing, and he is now saying Drew don't pay. Because Charay was like, well, he said you didn't pay him his last check. And she was like, what? We even helped him get his car back when it was repossessed. Well, child, I don't know if he need to get a real job or what, honey, because she don't pay. His car repossessed. You ain't paying. Anthony, I'm speaking directly to you, honey. You might want to get you a job somewhere that's stable, that's going to pay you every 2 weeks, honey, because you out here struggling. Moving forward. So they bring up him calling Ralph gay. So then Drew played this recording. I really didn't get much from it. I was a little bit confused. And so baby Charay called him. Hey, beautiful. Hey, Anthony. I'm here. You're on speakerphone. We're at the reunion. So you say I owe you some money? What do I owe you? Actually, you don't owe me nothing. And what about the gay thing? Because you said that, and Drew just played this recording. He's like, well, maybe I did say it, but I don't recall. But for the record, do I think he's gay? No. Do I think Drew needed a storyline? I'm so tired of people mistreating Drew. Anthony is a messy guy pulling stunts, going from one person to the next person, starting mess from franchise to franchise. I know y'all remember him over there on Basketball Wives starting up that same mess that got Malaysia and Jackie into an argument. See, y'all gotta watch who y'all surround yourselves with. He going all up and through the Atlanta streets, LA streets, starting mess and not being paid. And Anthony, honey, you said all this on camera. Now Drew needed a storyline? Drew, I hope that you see this man is messy. And also, I hope that y'all see that your anger is misdirected towards each other when it all should be on Anthony. He told messages and lies between the two of y'all. So, baby, Andy hung him right on up. Boo. Yeah, we don't need no more from him, honey. Hang him up. Hang him the hell up. And that was the end of part 2. This was so boring to me, child. This could have been over last week. Now, we're just sitting and we're not delving into the stuff that was really happening. Like, let's get into the whole worldwide fight. Let's get into, child, I don't know. I guess that's all, honey. Child, I don't know. I did the best I could to zhuzh it up, honey. Y'all comment down below and tell me exactly what you thought about part 2 of the reunion. I will see you tonight for the 30K subscriber celebration and my 40th birthday. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.